I think we're live. Good afternoon, everyone. As you can probably hear, I'm still coughing a bit and my voice isn't quite right and all the rest of it. But boy, am I dosing myself up with all sorts of good stuff. Today, we are going to talk about what the majority of the world is talking about, which is, of course, the coronavirus. I think more worrisome, certainly as far as I'm concerned, more worrisome, let me do that again, more worrisome than the virus itself is the intense stress that most people are under right now. The effects of the virus are not just about the illness itself. The effects are so many people out of work. I think, Michelle, didn't you say this morning 45 people? You actually
personally know 45 people.
Michelle personally knows 45 people who are out of work because of restaurants closing down. In Florida yesterday, they closed all of the bars. There are so many people who, waitresses, people behind bars, shopkeepers, people in offices, people who have part-time jobs, but necessarily they have part-time jobs in order to help to feed their families and so on. And there are going to be economic repercussions from this, which who knows how long it's going to last, but there are going to be so many economic repercussions from this. And so, of course, the stress level is going to be rising tremendously. The impact of this, worldwide is astonishing to me. It really is astonishing to me. I think that the media does not necessarily help. I think that so many people talking about it has caused such a lot of panic. I actually went into the grocery store the other day, and of course, as everybody else is doing, you find the shelves empty of every paper product. People are, I heard yesterday that one state in America, people are actually calling 911, which in this country is the emergency police number, to report lack of toilet paper. Have you not heard of soap and water and towels and so on? I mean, what did we do before toilet paper existed? So, we're not helping ourselves in this, and people are getting so panicked about it. I am not saying that there is not reason for concern. Of course there's reason for concern. Of course there is. And just as there should be a reason for concern with any sort of virus that goes around. For instance, influenza has been around forever and ever and used to kill massively. I think in the US, I think in the last year, I think the deaths from influenza are somewhere in the 45 or 46,
45 to 50,000.
45 to 50,000 or 50,000, yeah? People who died of the influenza bug. And of course, as a person who gets it every single year, I can quite see why, if you are yourself sick or for any reason you have an immune deficiency, so on and so forth, I can understand why people are worried. I can understand why people are panicking. But what I don't understand, which is the most worrying thing for me, is this almost mass hysteria. If you go into the grocery stores, people are literally elbowing each other out of the way to get food, to buy meat. I went in there, couldn't get any ground beef for churro, couldn't get any. There was the meat counters were almost empty. There were 2 chickens left on the shelves of a big supermarket. I mean, why? It is beyond my comprehension. I understand people want to bulk buy. They want to put stuff in the freezer so then they don't have to go out. They can sit at home and they don't have to go out and they don't have to expose themselves to other people. I get it. But what I don't get is this need to be shoving everybody else out of the way in order that you get your stuff and leave nothing for anybody else. It saddens me greatly that the effects of this, they're calling it a pandemic. I can't wrap my head around that either. I know there are people listening and you can comment. If you disagree with me, please let me hear it. Be nice to me. Be polite about it. But I'm trying to sort of wrap my head around this, and it's extremely worrisome to me because although yes, it is a serious situation, an influenza epidemic is a serious situation, but we've been dealing with it for decades. What is worrying a little bit of a tidbit, I found that last year the deaths from influenza were the worst in decades. I don't know why that is. Is it because we are paying less attention to our immune system? Is it because we're eating junk foods that destroy our immune system? I'm not quite sure why it is or what it is or what is going on here. The only thing I am absolutely sure of, 1,000% sure of, is that panicking is not going to help anyone. It is not going to change anything. It is not going to help anyone, and in fact it's more likely to do harm than good. When you look at all of the countries, I get why people are closing their borders. I perfectly understand it. Of course we have to protect our own people. Of course we do. We have to take precautions. We have to make sure that we wash our hands. We have to make sure that we stay clean. If you feel it necessary, wear a mask. The amusing thing yesterday, I heard of at least 3 people that I don't know. Well, I know one personally, and the other 2 I know through a personal friend of mine who knows them personally. Called in sick, couldn't work, worrying about, they're already saying, one of these people, the one that I actually know, is saying, I think we should work from home because mixing with people, etc., etc. And yet spent all day yesterday, not going to work, but spent all day yesterday, as it was St. Patrick's Day, in the pub with a crowd of other people. So, can we just have a little bit of common sense? I want to know your thoughts. I want to know if you think that I am underplaying this. And again, I will stress, I am not saying that there isn't concern. Of course there's concern, and we should be concerned, and we should do everything in our power to protect ourselves, and certainly protect our children, and to protect the aged. So, what can we do? Certainly panicking isn't going to do one single thing to help, and it will in fact do more harm, because the more we panic, the more our stress levels escalate. Before we know it, there are going to be numbers out there of people who are suffering from panic attacks, people suffering from heart disease, heart attacks, anxiety, and so on. So if you are one of those people who do or is at this moment suffering from anxiety, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. I'm going to show you how easy it is if you can sit back for a moment and take a breath, how easy it is to resolve the anxiety, to help your anxiety at least, not necessarily to get rid of it entirely, but to relieve your anxiety. I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you actually can, move past the anxiety, and instead of because, our anxiety increases when we think negatively, but, to think on a positive level, using our positivity, using our good energy to combat the anxiety and the feelings of panic that we might actually be having right now. Honestly, maybe I'm just a very practical person, but the first thing I thought, my daughter actually told me first of all, in New York City, Mum, there's no toilet paper, there's no paper towels. The paper products are all gone. All the tissues and the paper tissues and paper napkins, that are all gone. I couldn't quite wrap my head around it, but anyway. So if we can just address that for a second, we're going to go into the bathroom for a moment. Toilet paper, please, soap and water is fantastic. It honestly really is. Face cloths, flannels, whatever. You can use certain cloths if you don't want to use them anywhere else on your body. Find some cloths that you can use. Tear up some old sheets or tear up some old towels or something, and just use soap and water, and then throw them in the washing machine. Stop panicking if you don't have toilet roll. When I was growing up, we used to use newspaper. My mother used to sort of tear up bits of newspaper, put them on a string, and we hung them on our toilet system. I know that some of you out there are listening and smiling, because some of you who are my age, or even older maybe, grew up in the same way. We used toilet paper. The worst thing ever was when we ran out of toilet paper and we had to use sort of magazine papers and things, because that shiny stuff does not work nearly as well. Did we ever worry that we had newsprint on our bottoms? No, we never thought about it. That was the way it was. We can, honestly, truthfully, we can survive without toilet paper. I promise you, we honestly can. So instead of using paper towels, I'm, perhaps one of the world's worst for using paper towels, because I use them, I tear them, and I use them as napkins. I use them here, there, and everywhere. And I have not thought, as many of you out there, you don't think about it, do you? There it is, it's available. You never think of it running out. But I'm fortunate, because I have tons of napkins, cloth napkins. And what did I give you today and yesterday for lunch? Linen napkins.
Linen napkin,
right?
yeah.
Oh, gosh. This means I've got to wash them in the washing machine, and so we're not using paper towel. I've barely used any paper towel since I heard about all this stuff that's going on. So you can just, step back. This is a way to relieve your stress. Be innovative. If you don't have any toilet tissue, if you don't have any paper towels, think of another way. Think of, what do people do, and what do people in third world countries do when they don't have all this stuff? And I promise you'll survive it. So you can increase your stress level by stop trying to not think about what you don't have, and start to think about the things that you do have and the things that you can do to ease the burden. Honestly, I promise you will not die from lack of paper towels. You will not die from lack of toilet tissue. Find other ways, find other means. Please, can we have a little bit of common sense, a little tiny bit of common sense? Now, it's amazing to me that all of the, the food in the grocery stores is also, it's emptying out. But I promise you, if you can't get it today, perhaps next week you'll be able to get it. This is the perfect opportunity for those of us who eat too much, myself included, to diet. Let's go on a bit of a diet, shall we? No more just eating because it's there and it's available. But think about what we're eating, and think about the things that are, perhaps great for our immune system. So this is a next step that we can take. What kinds of things can we take to boost our immune system? Echinacea is high up there on the list. Mushrooms. You can actually get all kinds of supplements, which are at the moment certainly not in a shortage. Go on Amazon. I love Amazon, actually. I'm a big Amazon person because I don't go out shopping that much anymore, and Amazon, you can get pretty much everything you want on Amazon. it also saves you tramping around the shops. It also saves you using all the gas that you don't need to use, etc., etc. And they are far less expensive on Amazon very often than you can find in the stores, right, Michelle?
Most of the time.
So, just, so Amazon, now any grocery store, any of the big grocery stores actually do delivery. You can go online and you can order your food and it will be actually delivered to your door. So you don't even have to go out and about. So the panic that we're having with everybody stocking their freezers and so on and so forth, if you order online, you pretty much will get what you ask for, and if not, you'll get
unless it's out of stock.
Unless it's out of stock, you'll get a good supplement. Again, I'm trying to give you some ideas to lessen the anxiety, to use some common sense here. So, you think about the products that you cannot get, and a lot of those products, we didn't grow up with them, did we? I know there are some of you out there who you grew up with everything, didn't you? There wasn't a shortage of anything. All of these amazing new foods that came in. But if you stop panicking and start thinking, you can actually start to think, instead of, oh my goodness, what am I going to do without my tuna? What am I going to do without my eggs? What am I going to do without this, that, or something or another? Start to, be a little bit innovative. Call your friends, ask your friends, get together with other people and see, what do other people suggest? What can other people suggest? In the way of foods, in the way of supplements, and so on and so forth. So already we are lessening the problems. We are taking a step towards being positive. The situation is as it is. As long as we're careful, as long as we wash our hands, make sure that everything is, nice and clean, and as long as we take our precautions, and if you have to travel, if you have to get on a plane, then wear a mask, wear gloves if you must wear gloves. Do the sensible things that everybody should be doing. But then, take a breath and say, okay, now how can I improve my life? It also worries me that so many people around the world are panicking, and you notice that I'm talking about the panics and the anxieties, not the actual virus itself, because the virus itself is, and not nearly as bad as we're, when you compare it to other deaths, it's like, and other viruses and other illnesses, it's really a sort of, I know that it's fast, it hits fast, it's growing stronger, etc., etc. But again, we're taking all those precautions. Lots of countries are closing their borders. Lots of countries are helping their citizens. But I worry about a bigger and a greater disaster. What are people going to do? If you cannot handle this, how are you going to handle the bigger and the greater disasters as they come along? Because they will inevitably, not necessarily in my lifetime and not necessarily in your lifetime, but isn't it down to us to teach our children, and we can teach them by our example? Let's not talk negatively. Let's talk about what we can do and not, or what is happening. And I feel that this sort of negativity is sort of contagious, and I think the contagious of negativity is far worse than the contagion of the virus itself. So please, would you think about that idea? Negativity is contagious, and it will grow and grow and grow if you allow it, and panic will set in if you allow it. So, the only way I know to combat that is to take actions towards the positive as opposed to actions towards the negative. Do we have any comments, Michelle? Do we have any?
A ton of comments.
Then, all right. So over then to you. I'm leaving it all to you.
Okay. Gabriella says ciao. Annie says it's the same here in Montreal. but their government is really helping for now.
Good.
She also said that she takes care of her 85-year-old mother, so she's in quarantine. Ruth Ann says she loves to see you today. That's one in Italian, and I have no idea what it says.
Okay, we don't speak Italian, my darling. So, if you want to write us something and it's a foreign language, can you translate it before you send it to us? And if you go to Google Translate, they will translate, and then you can send it to us, and whoopee, then we can read what you're saying, because we really do want to hear what it is you have to say. We have a lady who has offered to come on our Everything is Attitude show, who lives in northern Italy, and we're trying to set up an Everything is Attitude connection. You know, I do that show with my co-host Al Pisano, and it's always on Thursdays at
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, thank you, Eastern Standard Time. So we're trying to work out when we can have this lady on, because she wants to talk to us about the effects of that it's having in northern Italy, which I think should be interesting, and it should give us some insight into what other countries are actually going through, and how other countries are handling this situation. Carry on, Michelle, with your stuff.
Okay, Judith is on.
Hi, Judith.
She says, hello and love from Georgia. My Walmart does not deliver medication. The home office has a home delivery option, but I have been trying for 3 days to get through to them with no luck. Oh well, at least I don't have to put up with sharp elbows at the store. I am concerned.
That's true.
I am concerned but not frightened. Some people I know get angry with me because I'm not panicking.
I'm so glad to hear it, my darling, because panicking will not help you. However, I'm going to suggest that you call your doctor or your health clinic and tell them of the situation, and tell them that you really need some help with this. If all else fails and they can't help you, or you don't get any satisfaction, and this is for so many, I'm going to say so many people, you have your churches, you have your ministers, the Salvation Army really are fantastic. So if you're experiencing these kinds of problems, your church, your community center, your try the healthcare providers, see if they've got some ideas, because I'm sure they're setting up stuff as we speak. And excuse me. And but the Salvation Army, I love the Salvation Army, because you don't have to be affiliated to them. You go to them with a problem and they help you. You don't even have to say that you believe in anything. You can be a complete atheist, but if you're in trouble, the Salvation Army will help you. That is my, I always give to the Salvation Army. I think they're an amazing, amazing community of people. So, if all else fails, pick up the phone and try them. Go for it. But thank you, and I'm so glad that you're not panicking. Because when we panic, common sense goes out of the window, and we don't think of the things that we can do. If we stand back, take a breath, and then think about the things that we can do, that we can help ourselves. So make those phone calls, my darling, and don't be afraid to bug people and say, well, somebody needs to help me. And again, as I say, I don't know if you have an affiliation with a church group, community centres help. A lot of communities have those help centres that you can go to. But if all else fails and your doctor won't help you, Salvation Army will. I'm sure of it.
There's a lot of places that are volunteering to go pick up medications and groceries for those who cannot go shopping.
Can you tell me any more about that?
I can get you the information and then we can post it.
So watch Facebook then. As Michelle says, there are lots of volunteer places who are volunteering to go and get medication to go get it for people and to deliver it to people. So I'm absolutely sure that if you go to your council, your community centre, your church affiliation, or the Sally Army, somebody's going to help you. Please don't panic. Just sort of step back. When you're panicking, you can't think straight about anything, and again, it's contagious. The more you panic, the worse it gets. The more anxiety you get, the more you panic, and on, and then the people around you get panicked. We are very careful. My daughter and I, we have a 7-year-old. My grandson is 7 years old, and yes, he's off school. Yes, he is, and he has a really nasty cold today and a cough. He's been blowing his nose all day long, and he has a cough. He does not have the coronavirus. We're not panicking about it. We're doing exactly what we always do in the winter months. We're just giving him hot chocolate and all sorts of good stuff, and he's perfectly fine. We've had such a long conversation this morning about it's strangely enough, yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, and it's it's the day of leprechauns, as all of you who know about St. Patrick's Day will know. You won't believe this. When I tell you this story, you'll be stunned by this story. My grandson found a box, and in this box he put 9 gifts in case the leprechaun came to visit him. He put some coins, he put some chocolate, he put all sorts of different things. When he got up this morning, the box was completely empty. But there on the floor was a little game. There were different things around the house. He kept finding all these things that the leprechaun had sent to him, and amazingly he counted them up. He couldn't believe it. He said, Mummy, we left the leprechaun 9 things, and this morning I found 9 things that he left me. His mum said to him, whoa, that's a happy coincidence then. We were laughing. Find the joy, please find the joy. Because the joy, when you start to smile, you start to think of the good things, again, it's another way to decrease your anxiety. Let's have some more comments and questions.
Karen is on.
Yes, good morning, Karen.
She says, hi, Karen. Hi, it's Karen from Toronto. It would be very interesting to hear from someone from Italy or the UK, because they are weeks ahead of everyone in the ways of this virus and how it has affected them. I went through our cupboards today to see what we have, and I realized we have lots of things we can make in a good 3 weeks. Egg custard, bread pudding, soups, and etc., etc.
This is coming out of my cookbook, Karen from Toronto. I know it. And I'm sure I'm going to be getting a phone call from you later on to figure out how to make that bread pudding. I love bread pudding. Bread and butter pudding is the best. It is the best. Anyway, and it's a recipe in my cookbook. That's a whole other thing. Keep going with your comments, Michelle.
Ruth Ann wants to know if there's any wisdom from Grey Eagle on this.
Yes, of course, and I've just given it to you. I know how fortunate I am to have Grey Eagle, who is able to just sort of, if there were a temptation to panic, if there were a temptation to worry or for anxiety, he would bring me right down, and he would say, please take a breath. This is not nearly as serious a situation as we think it is. It's getting completely out of hand because of the panic and because of the fear. We are afraid. We are afraid as a nation. We're afraid as a world population. Of course, we're afraid. There's been so much talk over the years of sort of these different viruses and what they can do and so on and so forth. And again, if we allow fear to take over, fear freezes. Did you know that? Fear freezes us. It freezes us into inaction, and fear is contagious. So the worst problem that we're having right now is the contagion of fear as opposed to the contagion of the virus itself. we can't do a great deal about the virus except take precautions. As I've said, try not to go into airports and on planes and so on unless you absolutely have to. But if you have to, make absolutely sure you wear your masks, you wash your hands on a regular basis, you wear your gloves, you do all the things that that you need to do. It's amazing to me. I read and in fact I had an email from Delta, because I'm a Delta member, Delta Airlines member, and I had an email from them saying all the things that they are doing now with their planes. They're disinfecting, they're doing this, that and the other, and I have to shake my head and think to myself, but I thought they were doing all of that anyway. No wonder we get sick on planes. Every time I get on a plane and get off a plane, I'm sick. I had no idea that they didn't clean properly before people got on the plane. How about that? So maybe after all this scare is over, maybe the airlines can continue with their cleanliness programs and clean the planes properly and make sure that we don't get all the, all this stuff that is going around. So carry on, Michelle.
There were a couple responses to Karen's post. Elena says, "Hi, I'm Italian. We are closed in our homes by 3 weeks. Schools are closed. All is closed. We can only go in supermarket. The police control. Then no one gets out of their home, but only to buy things to eat."
Good.
She says for everyone to be careful, clean your hands, and stand far away from people, at least 2 meters.
No hugging. Oh, I'm such a hugger.
Only with my kids.
I'm such a hugger. And one of the reasons I got sick was because when my grandson came, he'd got a nasty cold, and how can you resist hugging a 7-year-old? However, if you are sick, don't go out. If you have a cold, please don't go. Please don't think it's okay to cough and splutter over everybody else. As inconvenient as it may be for you, please, 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 please don't infect the rest of us unless you absolutely have to go out. Don't go out. But I'm hoping that our governments are starting to think about all those people who are out of work. And I will just say that someone who's been on this show this morning, who I know very well, has been sent home for 2 weeks because she works with people, and the clinic that she works for is stopping everything right now. A lot of people, if you don't work, you don't get money. I do hope that the governments are going to be helpful in that regard, but that needs to be happening now. So if anybody out there listening has any voice at all for the politicians, or any voice at all that can be heard, there are people who cannot pay their bills today because they've been laid off work or what have you, and we need to find ways and means of helping them. And in a few moments we are going to have our healing prayer for people all over the world and for this situation that we're in right now with the coronavirus. But let's have some more comments, shall we, Michelle?
Annie said that they got news this morning that Sunwing out of Montreal is letting go of all their pilots and all their attendants.
Letting go of, or firing, or
laying off, or
laying
whatever
off.
you want to call it for now.
Yeah. It's the economic situation is going to be pretty dire. But I don't want to pile on the anxiety. We've been through worse. The world has been through so much worse, and although it's uncomfortable when we're going through these situations, we come through them. We really do come through them. So let's have any more comments.
That's it for right now.
Okay, so what we're going to do now then, if you'd all join with me, please. We're going to be sending healing. So I'm going to, first of all, talk about what it is that you can do, all of you out there, to relieve your anxiety by first and foremost giving healing to your own self, giving healing prayer. We're going to be saying a healing prayer And I'm going to show you how to give healing first to yourself, and then we are going to collectively, all of us, we are going to send out healing worldwide. We're going to pray for this world of ours to be calm, to find sanity in what seems to be an insane world at the moment, and hopefully find sanity in an insane situation. And I'm going to be asking for this contagion of fear to lessen as much as it can. So, all right, so sitting comfortably, feet firmly on the ground, please, and hands face up on your lap, palms up in a receiving, what we call a receiving position. Excuse me. So, dear God, please allow us to be a part of your healing process. Allow us to join our energy with that God energy, that universal God force that is out there. We ask that we can join with that energy to give our love, to give our prayers, to first ourselves. Dear God, please allow us to have healing, to use that God force, to use that energy source to give healing to ourselves. And we're going to breathe in. We're going to breathe in that energy through our solar plexus. Those of you who are not sure what I'm talking about, you need to just go back and take a look at all of the other videos that we've done. Hands around the world, joining hands around the world and healing. And giving first to our own selves. As all healers should, make sure that you are as positive, that you are as centered, and that you are as clear a channel as you possibly can be. Before you give your energy out to others, before we send out our healing prayers to others, we must make sure that what we're sending out and what we're giving out to other people is pure and good and positive. So we're asking for protection against that contagion of fear. So breathing in and letting go of all of the fear and all of the anxiety that we've been feeling over the last few days or the last few weeks. Breathing in, and we're going to visualize the color blue. The color blue is the universal healing color. You can visualize lying under a blue sky. You can visualize lying in the sunshine on a golden beach and looking up at that blue sky. You can visualize a blue blanket wrapped around you. Wrap that blue blanket around you. Healing is universal. We give it of our own selves to our own selves. When we breathe in and we visualize this blue, and we visualize the warmth and the comfort we get from this energy. And when we remember that this energy is from God, from that universal God force, breathe it in, be greedy with it, take as much of it as you possibly can. Breathing in and holding this energy to you, holding it within you, and very slowly, very gently, let go and let God. Let go and trust in that God force, in that God energy. And let go and let that energy flow through you. As human beings, there's very little we can actually affect in this world of ours. What we can affect is our own selves first, the way that we're thinking, the way that we're feeling, Visualize my hands upon you. Visualize God's hands upon you. Visualize Christ's hands upon you and breathe it in. Don't be afraid to be greedy. Just breathe it in. And when you feel that you're calm and you've come down a little bit, you feel better, you feel less anxious, when you feel able to share, I would like you to think, and all you need to do is put these thoughts into your head and then send them out into the universe. We want to say a prayer for all of those who are suffering the effects of the coronavirus. Not just the virus itself, but the effects of panic, the effects of anxiety, the effects of the situation that is affecting your life, people who have no jobs, people who are losing businesses. We're sending out our healing energy and our healing prayers to all of those who are struggling right now and asking God, please, can we in some small way send our healing energy and our healing thoughts to you so that you can share with everyone who needs. Visualize this world of ours. Visualize our world population with heads bowed, trusting in this God force, trusting in this process, trusting in the fact that we are one as a community. Just under 7 billion people on this planet, and every one of us right now needing, and we need each other, and we need the love and the compassion and the caring that we know that God can give. So let us ask for that. Let us ask for healing for all of those who are affected by what is happening in our world today. Let's send our prayers not just to those people who are afraid of this virus. Let's send our healing out to all of those who are sick, all of those who are suffering with debilitating diseases, all of you who are struggling with cancer or pneumonia, or you name it, 1,000 things that can affect our physical cells. Let's send out healing to all of those people who just need a prayer, who just need a kind thought, a kind word. Let us send out our love into the universe. Let us send out our love into the world. And let us pray that our love and our prayers touch the hearts of all who need it. Breathing deeply and gently, and relax. All right. So let's go back to comments and questions, Michelle, if we have any.
Jessica's on,
Hi, Jessica.
and she says, "Thank you, Rosemary, for the prayers and the advice. It's great to see you looking so well."
Good. You know, I fool everybody. I always look good. I always try to. I think the worst you feel, especially health-wise, the worse you feel, the more important it is to sort of put on that little bit of makeup and, sort of make yourself bright, because it really does honestly help. It's another way to lessen the anxiety, you know, just to, because in, you know, putting on your makeup or sort of, you know, whatever, or putting on a pair of earrings or something, not that I'm suggesting that everybody should, there are a lot of men out there who don't look good in earrings, I know that, but, you know, just making yourselves look good. Or another thing that we can do, which is so helpful, is, you know, if you think about the color blue, the color blue is the healing color. The color green, a nice, beautiful, soft green, is the color of peace and harmony. It's the energy of peace and harmony. The color pink is the color of love, the energy of love. And so what we could do is, if we needed to stay calm, we can always put on a green sweater, or wear a green scarf, or even just put a green band around your wrist, just to remind you that, you know, stay calm. And every time you absorb the color and you think of the color, it has an effect. It reminds you that you can give this beautiful energy to your own selves. I know it sounds weird, but, and again, you know, if you're lacking love, or you just want to show your love to everyone, but, you know, nice little pink scarf on, or a pink sweater or something like that, or even a pair of pink shoes, whatever you want to do, you know, just green is a really good color, blue is a good color, pink is a good color, of course gold and silver, the colors of peace and harmony and spirituality. Purple is a very religious, deeply religious energy, so you can actually dress yourself up in the colors that you think are good for you, or the colors that you feel that you might need on a daily basis. And honestly, it really can help you. Any other comments, Michelle? I can see one or two coming up here.
Wonderful. I needed that was from Annie. God bless you, Rosemary, and thank you was from Ruth Ann.
Good.
Wendy is on, and she said,
I want to talk to you, by the way, young lady.
She says, I'm at work, so I cannot participate right now, but I'm going to do it later. Thank you for this very important healing.
You're very welcome, darling.
Karen says, thank you, Rosemary. That was a lovely healing meditation. Blessings, everyone. I'll have to share with you my prayer shawl I'm making for my mom.
Oh, great. All right. Anyone else? Anything else? So that's it for today. Please understand that I know this is a live show, and lots of you might think that, you know, you can only do it live for it to work. But excuse me, 1 second. I'm going to turn that off. Sorry. So it is a live show. What can I tell you? I forgot to switch the phone on. What was I going to say? Just, you know, you can use this. You can use it again and again. It doesn't have to be live for it to work. All you have to do when you watch it is just to connect with me and connect with that God force that is out there. And all of this is just simply guidance for you to know what to do, and on a daily basis. I know that some people listen to this 2 or 3 times a day, and that works as well. Obviously, the more you give healing to your own self, the more you're able to give healing to others. But please be selfish with yourself first. Give to you first, and then to others. We are going to be keeping up with the coronavirus situation. We're going to be talking more about it. Al and I, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be talking a little bit more about that, and about what we can do and how we can sort of change our attitudes so that we do not allow this contagious fear to freeze us into inaction, or to freeze us into taking actions that are only produce negative rather than positive results. So we're going to be talking obviously more about that, because it is important, I think, for people to hear this and to understand. I'm not panicking. I'm asking all of you to take a breath and step back, and to look at the things that you can do that are positive. I'm going to remind you again, you don't need toilet paper, you don't need paper towels. What on earth did we do without it all before we had it? Think. We do, thank goodness, still have soap. We do have water. We're not, the whole world has not shut down to all of those things. So, just be sensible. Just don't let it get you down. So if you don't have toilet paper, so what then? So, is the world coming to an end? Will your life come to an end? Will you survive? Of course you will. Of course we will. And especially when we all get together and we join hands around the world for our healing sessions. It just strengthens us and builds us up and helps us to know we're not alone. We're all together in this. And as long as we don't allow fear to override our common sense, we will be fine. I promise you, it's my promise to all of you, we will be fine and we shall survive this. So please just take precautions, take care. Don't go out unless you have to, into crowds and so on and so forth. Be supportive of your families, and if you can, please be supportive of your neighbours too. And think about all of those people who are affected by this economically, and try and do the very best you can to help your neighbours in these circumstances. That's, after all, what it's all about. Hands around the world, sending out healing. Hopefully I shall see you all again tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. However, we do have, remember, it's Thursday tomorrow, we have our The Spirit World Sees All on our YouTube channel tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can ask any questions you like. We'll do our very best to answer them for you. We have a great time on that show. We love it. And if you have never seen me before, you want to know more, you can email us, rosemary@rosemariealtea.com, to learn more. Go on our YouTube, go on our Facebook, do all of that sort of thing. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. Poor Michelle is struggling with her hip today, trying to find a comfortable place. So if you want to know more about us, if you personally would like healing, again, email us, rosemary@rosemarialtea.com. If you want to be on our mailing list, you do the same thing. However, to be on our mailing list, you must request it. We will not automatically put you on a mailing list just because you email us. So you must request, please put me on your mailing list, and we shall be letting you know our healing meditations are, the first one's coming out, is it next week or the week after? We're hoping.
Hoping it's the beginning of next week.
Beginning of next week, but we shall let you know. You'll be able to find us on
Amazon, Google Music, iTunes, Spotify,
all of those places, and you'll be able to download the meditations. I know I'm slow. I'm behind the times. I know that, but hey, I catch up eventually, don't I? Or do I? Anyway, we're
catching up.
We're doing our best.
Up.
Michelle is the one who's doing all of this. She's an angel. She's absolutely amazing. And she's a ray of sunshine when she walks in my door in the mornings. And the first thing she says, hi. And she's got that, no matter how you're feeling, she's always got a smile on her face. And it's always lovely. Excuse me, it's always lovely to have her in the house, and she does such a good job with us. So please don't be afraid to email her and ask her anything you like. She will not tell you my secrets, but I'm not sure I have any actually, because I've talked about them all or written about them all, so I don't really have any. But if you want to know any more about us, again, email us, rosemary@rosemarialtea.com. And until I see you again, please, please, please have a very, very, very blessed rest of the day.